So it's another year and we're building another race car for a Pro 2 driver this time. His name is Alex Jagger, and the car is pretty special to me, at least, because it was a project that we had started quite a few years ago. We bought a shell and we were going to make our own race car out of it, and then realized that probably wouldn't have time to use it. We ended up selling the engine program we had for it, and so so we ended up putting the chassis up for sale. It got sold to a friend of ours who just let it sit here for a little while, and then Alex picked it up. So pretty excited to get to finish a project that I kind of started for us in the first place. So let me show you what it looks like currently. This is the chassis. It's a 2009 370Z chassis, and as you can see, it's already got a bunch of work done to it. It has a really nice roll cage put in it by our friend Dylan Hughes when he used to work here. And it's already got a rear firewall bulkhead. Dry sump oil tank is mounted. Roof skin's removed because we run a carbon roof skin. Fuel cell located, radiator located, and a bunch of stuff chopped off in anticipation of being a race car. It's a pretty good head start for Alex on a pro car, and we happen to have a lot of experience with this chassis as far as setup and whatnot is concerned. So we're hoping we can make this a pretty sweet competitive car for him. One of the first things I'm going to do to this is remove these tubes. We were not planning on making it a Formula Drift legal car, so we started adding some extra tubes to the roll cage. These like tubes that back up the strut tower here, and those that triangulate it. These are just tacked in, but these I have to cut out and smooth out. I already talked it over with Kevin, the technical director, and he said that's fine. So we're gonna do that. And otherwise, this thing's a pretty good start. Here is the roll cage fitment. Is super good, and we added this diagonal here in the roof line when we were thinking about making it a hill climb car, and we started adding tubes to it. And we also added that extra tube right there, and we have some stitch welds there to the sill bar, which we're going to cut out also to make it legal. First thing is get this engine ready to go in though. So the engine of choice for Alex's 370Z is a VR38 out of like a 09 and newer Skyline, Nissan Skyline GTR, or just Nissan GTR. And we have procured one. It is already purple. And this is a bone stock engine. They just powder coated these covers, but it's a used stock engine, and believe it or not, we are going to run it just like this. We're going to use stock turbos on it, as they are capable of 600 or so wheel horsepower, which is our goal. And we're going to start by removing the timing cover, crank pulley, and the oil pan, as we're going to use a Dailey dry sump pan on this. And the main reason that we're doing that actually is for packaging. This is super bulky. Like, we can literally shave like 6 inches off the bottom of the engine by going with a dry sump package. Obviously, all the other benefits of a dry sump setup will be great to have as well. But just fitting it in the car, we're gonna do the dry sump. So let's start with taking this engine apart, and we'll get to unboxing the Dailey stuff too. All right, let's get to unboxing these fancy Dailey parts. Got the pump. This is a 5-stage pump. It's got the air oil separator on the back, and it's got the turbo drain scavenge section as well, which is pretty cool. Pulls oil directly from the turbos into the oil pump. Pretty awesome. Even comes with the proper belts and a spare. Pulley for the pump. Adapter for the crank pulley. O-rings for the pan, pump situation. Even comes with hardware for the pump, of course. Here is the prettiest part, the fully billet oil pan. It's so tiny. I mean, you can see it's only like an inch and a half thick. So again, that's why we're shaving like 6 inches of height off this engine. So we'll be able to sit it really low, like right on top of the steering rack subframe. Pretty cool. As you can see, this new pan from Dailey is substantially thinner than this behemoth of an ugly through axle scenario that comes on the engine. And luckily we're rear-wheel drive, so we don't have to worry about any of that. And this pan doesn't work with all-wheel drive anyway, which is great for us. Alright, here's our upside down engine, and as you can see, this timing cover is going to work out because our new oil pan only sits up like this high. So part of what you have to do to install a dry sump, or at least this Dailey dry sump kit on a VR38, is mill down about 4 inches or so. So I'm going to start by getting it to fit snugly. I got to finish cleaning up all the old silicone that they had on this engine, and then we're going to scribe the line, take some measurements, and figure out how to put this thing in the mill so we can mill all this off. So I sprayed these areas here with Dichem, and then I got a little scribe line there just to give me an idea. So I'm going to start by bandsawing the bulk of this off here first. Alright, I did my first rough pass here, and luckily I didn't go too much. It looks like I have to come down another couple dowel. So I'll get it back in the mill, square it up again, take a real measurement here, and make one more light pass on this thing. Couple thou. We're gonna see. I'm gonna bolt the pan on tight and stick a feeler gauge in here and see. But regardless of what that number is, it's definitely an acceptable height for the silicone to seal it. can't even get a video of it. Yeah, it's pretty good considering I'm not a machinist. All right, we got the pan bolted down just loosely. Well, it's tight, but we don't have all the bolts in it. And then we got the front cover, the couple bolts in it, and it looks like I am a few thousandths low, but that will definitely get soaked up with the silicone sealant. And again, sadly there's no bolts in the front of this, but I'm sure a nice bead of silicone will seal it just fine, as has been proven to work by other people that have used this setup. Every engine we do here uses an ATI damper. ATI is a local business to us, believe it or not. They make their dampeners right here in Baltimore, Maryland, which is pretty cool. So I owned this damper shell. They're super tight tolerance fit. The not the shell, but the hub, the damper hub to the crankshaft. Got that to fit, and then loosely bolted this on. This is the damper shell itself, part that does the dampening. And then I'm going to torque this on, and then put the little adapter on for the alternator pulley. ATI damper is installed. Then, and while we're most likely going to have to pull this back off once we get the alternator mounted, put the alternator belt on, but at least for mock-up, just to kind of see what kind of space we have to work with when we're fitting everything in the car, I'm going to put the gear here and put the dry sump belt on as well. And there it is, a dry sump equipped Nissan VR38 engine. That's a wrap for this one. A little intro to the car, backstory, and a little bit about the dry sump oil pan. We'll go more into depth with the dry sump stuff in a later video. And as you can imagine, there's going to be a lot more videos coming about the buildup of the chassis and locating everything, plumbing everything, fitting the engine, got to mount the engine and all still. We still got a whole race car to build, so stay tuned.